toxic masculinity in Disney films. The term toxic masculinity originated in the 1980s, but the term has grown in popularity within the past decades. Example of popular phrases that come from toxic masculinity are boys don't cry, man up, boys will be boys, etc. This toxic message of what a man should be is put in a young boy's head at a very young age, and it can be influenced by family and home life and social life, but it could also come from messages that you wouldn't expect, like something seeming so innocent as Disney movies. Disney has the power to promote positive messages with such a big audience, but unfortunately, they can also promote bad ones like toxic masculinity. This is seen by the way Disney displays their characters with hyper-masculine bodies, their romance storylines, and overly asserting dominance and poke fun at males that don't possess those qualities. It can all start off by the looks. The idea that a man must be muscular and physically strong. It's a belief that has been around forever, that men are superior in strength. However, not all bodies were made that way, and some boys might be picked on for being skinnier or appearing weak. Disney definitely makes sure all their heroes are an ideal man. They are fit, strong, tall, and mostly white. It is now discussed how Disney princesses are unrealistic to women. The same also goes for men. First of all, for some of them, you don't even know the prince's actual name, which is kind of interesting. Like, the prince's name in Snow White is hardly ever mentioned, and in Cinderella, he is only known as Prince Charming. Charming meaning perfect. These princes also don't have a lot of screen time, making it hard for an audience to get to know them and their personality. All that is known by the end of the movie is that they do something heroic to win the princess over, and that also helps that they are very handsome. Relationships. Another toxic masculine trait is how to treat a girl, as well as Disney's perspective of what a relationship is. It can promote an unhealthy idea that men are superior to women, and therefore leads to other ideas, such as viewing women as objects or pleasure. Disney also shows this once again throughout their Disney princess movies. The common theme for girls is that they fall in love with the princess. Sometimes at love at first sight, other times only meeting a few times, but then falling in love fast. The men don't know anything about the girls besides that they are beautiful, and majority of the time they do not know anything else. This sort of thinking promotes the idea that all guys need to worry about are girls' looks. Overall, Disney's ideas of relationship is very traditional and set in the past when it needs to move forward. Homosexual relationships, for example, are hardly mentioned in Disney movies. This is due to it being a controversial issue. However, there is nothing controversial about it when educated. For example, many parents don't want LGBT characters or themes in movies because they believe it's promoting a lifestyle and can turn a child gay. Disney could use their platform to educate families that being gay is not a choice and you're born with a sexual preference. Disney instead plays it safe because their audience is divided on this issue. Instead, they may make a minor character a part of the LGBT community, but may not expand much on that or their sexuality as a storyline. When Disney does this, they feel they have pleased both sides, but it just damages future generations as they may feel being queer is something they should be ashamed of and hide. This is especially true with boys who possess feminine qualities, as they may or may not be queer, but know that it's wrong to be associated with an LGBT slang word, both hurting different communities. Probably the most common trait to toxic masculinity is the need to be strong and therefore willing to fight at any time, aka dominance. This is commonly seen in the movie's big climatic scenes, like the fighting scenes, usually between the male hero and the villain. The theme is not only redundant but damaging as it confirms for a young audience that you have to be a certain way in order to succeed and live happily ever after. The hero needs to display his strength and be dominant over the villain and save the day. Putting the idea in children's minds makes them think that fighting can get them out of a lot of things and can lead to success. It can also show that the power of physical strength is more beneficial than using your words and working out issues. As for everybody else, yes, Disney does show characters who are also more feminine, have diverse body types, and overall are not your typical heroes, but those characters are usually there for comedy or even feared as a villain. There's a common theme of a comedic character, as they usually are the sidekick of either the hero or the villain. That character can be overweight or very thin, both not representing the typical built body that a hero might have. They usually are smarter than the villain or the main character, or they are very clueless. Either way, they usually don't mean any harm. If they're a villain to the hero, they don't mean any harm, as they usually just listen to whatever the villain says or what the hero says, and they do whatever they say. They also appear pretty weak or easily frightened. Disney villains, on the other hand, can also portray feminine qualities. Some characters are thought to look feminine or even behave feminine, and because they are villains, they are feared. They're looked down upon. Children learn this theme quickly by watching Disney movies. This sort of description puts the thought in children's minds that these male characters lacking masculine qualities are either funny and okay to make fun of, or feared because their differences set them apart and makes them capable of evil, like the Disney villains. So, for example, the first film that comes to mind when you say toxic masculinity is Beauty and the Beast. I mean, Gaston is basically the definition of it. You can see it in his song when he talks about all of his masculine traits and accomplishments while the girls woo over him. But he is just an awful human being who wants Belle to be his submissive little wife. He says things like, "She's as beautiful as me. It's not right for a woman to read. She'll get ideas." Gaston does not care for Belle's dreams. All he wants is a traditional, beautiful, submissive wife. Gaston's sidekick, LeFou, is that non-typical masculine character I talked about. He is overweight, lacks common sense, and only listens to whatever Gaston says and hypes him up. LeFou is not a character that most kids would look up to or want to be like because of his appearance and comedic role. They more learn to laugh at him. Instead, they are left to see only Gaston as Beast as their male role model character. And as discussed, Gaston is no good character. He is the villain, though, so his character is not supposed to be great. However, the Beast is not much better. The whole reason the Beast became a beast in the first place is because he judged an old woman by her looks. He seemed to not learn his lesson, as the first thing he thinks of when he sees Belle is her beauty. Even his staff can't help but notice her beauty and just assume that she's there to break the curse and to fall in love with him. The Beast is extremely aggressive and the Beast is extremely aggressive and not good at compassion with Belle, resulting in the relationship seeming abusive and forced. His rage and sense of ownership is extremely obsessive and controlling for Belle. A true beast indeed, not one to look up to. My second example is from the movie Peter Pan. Unlike the other movies, Peter Pan is not a princess movie. He is just a relatable young boy that children can look up to because of the closeness of age. But analyzing the movie, it is clear to see that all the boys display violent tendencies, they're treated like a game, but they're violent with each other and promote that dominance a lot. The few girls that are seen in the movie are all very possessive of Peter Pan, chasing after him, wanting his attention, and treating him as their leader. Peter Pan seems to take advantage of the girls' affection for him, treating them like servants, especially Wendy as a mother figure. Throughout the movie, he makes sexist comments to her, like "girls talk too much" and "get on with it" when he wants Wendy to sew for him. As mentioned before, the men are all typically violent and want to dominate each other. However, examining the pirates, Smee stands out as that odd one out. He fits the role of the typical comedic relief sidekick of the villain. He's overweight, doesn't have a violent nature, but just listens to whatever Captain Hook orders him to do. After looking through the movie, it is clear that it goes in every category of toxic masculinity. And it's more dangerous because of the closeness of age that Peter can possess with the kids watching his movies. My last example is a very controversial one because it is Mulan, which is arguably Disney's best feminist movie. Although Mulan does a great job at breaking stereotypes, there are some sad truths Mulan learns when trying to pass as a man. Mulan is taught that the female body is not for her to use in the beginning with the matchmaker and such. And due to its attractiveness, her worth is only measured by her attractiveness to her possible future husband. However, when she is undercover as Ping, she is more shown that the masculine body is essential to make self-definition. So throughout the movie, Mulan learns that there are many obstacles to be considered a man, just as there seem to be as many obstacles to be considered a woman. The most noticeable scene of toxic masculinity comes from one of the best songs in the movie, "I'll Make a Man Out of You." It is one of Disney's most popular songs that will get stuck in your head. However, if you take a deeper look at the lyrics, you can see the toxic masculine message. The song opens up with criticizing the men who were drafted by their lack of strength and intelligence. Shang mocks them by singing, "Did they send me daughters when I asked for sons?" Towards the end of the song, the lyrics in one part label what a man should be. They must be swift as a coursing river, with all the force of a great typhoon, with all the strength of a raging fire, mysterious as the dark side of the moon, while "Be a Man" is being chanted in the background. The song may be catchy, but it promotes the toxic masculine stereotype of what a man has to be. In conclusion, Disney is promoting toxic masculinity to children by having their characters look overly masculine by their relationships, their displays of dominance, and their failed attempt at showing other diverse characters. Disney is definitely improving as most of these examples are outdated, but they are still out there for children to see, especially now easier than ever with Disney Plus. Because of that, these ideas of what a man should be can be taught to future generations, making it harder to end the stereotype that there's only one way to be a man. Disney is extremely influential and has a platform to spread many different messages to the audience. 200 million people per year watch Disney films in a week. Disney has the power to spread a positive message, but instead their message can mentally damage and be physically harmful. Boys can be pressured to build physical power and measure of success, dominance, and inability to protect women. Health risks for men include depression, low self-esteem, and excessive weightlifting, as well as consumption of performance-enhancing supplements. Men are also less likely to seek mental health compared to women. The thought process of what makes you a man only hurts them, especially when it becomes such a problem that they are too afraid to seek help because of it. Relationships are also dangerous in Disney films, with the Me Too movement growing these past couple of years. Old behavior that would have seemed okay in the past is now being called out as harassment. Most of their harassment starts out by ignorance and not understanding boundaries of women or respecting them. Disney needs to stop making their heroes seem like it's just an old-fashioned way to treat a woman. It has to be put to an end. What the media has shown recently is that showing diverse people can create beautiful, real stories and expand audiences' mind. It has opened the door for increased representation of gender, sexuality, body types, race, health, and many more for the broader discussion and understanding of differences. It is now time for Disney to use its platform for the same good and show audiences of all ages diversity of gender and end stereotypes. Thank you.